This is Don with Leather & Stitch Customs, and this is the Puppy by Karlova. You can find her pattern on Etsy, and I'll put the link in the description. Right here, we want to make sure that when we print this out, I am in the US, so I did print this out in US leather, but I also printed it out on US legal paper, just because it gives me more space when it comes to printing. First thing you'll see here is Karlova does use tiny punches, but it's set up for a diamond punch. I use a standard hole punch. I also use a diamond punch, but for this particular design, I did use my hole punch. This design also requires a horseshoe shackle, which I did not include on the supply list, so I apologize for that. But if you can't find a horseshoe shackle, you could always use a D-ring, a tiny D-ring. One of the best things about this pattern is you only have to tape together 2 pages. The rest of them cut out individually. This is Karlova's design that she put together. It's on her Etsy. This is what we're working with. She did use 3 different leathers, and I also decided to go with 3 different leathers, which I'll go through here in a moment. Karlova also provides detailed instructions as well as a blueprint checklist to make sure that you have all the pieces cut out appropriately. You also have a test page to measure out to make sure that you have the bag all measured out correctly the way it needs to be. Here are all of my supplies here, my buckles, my swivel hook, which I switch out later for a different one, my D-rings, and so on and so forth, and then my choices of leather. My choices of leather range from 2.5 all the way up to 4 ounce. This Kodiak here, which is the heaviest part, is a 4 ounce leather. This is what I decided to use. You can use whatever you need to. The bag will stand up on its own even if you use like a 2.5 ounce leather all around, just because of the side pockets and the zippers. This is my pebble grain leather that I use for the body of the bag, the bottom of the bag, and the back side. This does come in about 2.5 to 3 ounce. You do want to pay attention to the how many pieces you need to cut out of certain straps. It will say ×2 on those. On the zipper itself, there's only 1 in the pattern, but you do need 2. You can tell that by the photos. You need 1 on each side. She did fail to put 2 on that, but I'm letting you know here. Go ahead and mark 2 on that pattern itself, because you are going to need 2 of them. And then one of the last things to go over, you have your 2 straps that you're going to need, your backpack straps. You're going to measure these out to 32 to 34 inches long, and I'm more than likely going to use my milled stamp leather here, which comes in at about 4 ounces. And you're also going to need a couple of rivets to set those on the back side and to hold your loop and your buckle in place on the strap holders on the bag. One thing I like to do when I'm using several different leathers and a new pattern, I like to go through and I like to mark my patterns with 1s, 2s, and 3s and so forth. That way I know what leathers or what sections of the pattern are going to be used for what leathers and vice versa. Next up here, I have my mesh that I like to put down underneath my punch board, just because it helps to, number one, lighten up the sound that comes from the board when you're punching through your leathers. This is just Griprite. I picked this up. You get 12 by 5 feet of it, 12 inches by 5 feet of it. I picked it up at Menards. At the time, I got it for 99 cents. I picked up about 6 rolls of it so I could put it also underneath. As you can see, underneath my 2 mats there. It's also on my table, and I have a second table that I use this for as well. When you use your hole punches, just make sure you have the right size hole punches. size them up. Like I said, if you print this off at 100%, you shouldn't have an issue sizing them up. She uses a diamond punch. Like I said, I use a hole punch on this one. Now right here, when it comes to cutting out the slot for your buckle to go through, I do have a oval punch that I like to use, and mine isn't quite long enough or big enough, I guess, so I'm just going to use it twice. Next up, for my round edges, my corners, I do have my corner punching tools. I picked these off of Amazon. I'll put the link in the description for those, as well as I'll put the link in the description for the mesh that I use and any other tools, just to make it easier for you guys. I do have an Amazon Associates account set up so that if you guys do happen to purchase anything using my links, it does help out my channel, so I do appreciate that. Here are all the punches that I have. So I have two different kits. One came in a 7-piece, the other came in an 8-piece. You have your corner, you have your half circles, and you also have your corners. The very first thing we're going to actually sew, hand sew here, we're going to use a saddle stitch, is the support. Now the support is actually going on the outside this time as a decorative piece, just because the body of the bag doesn't really need the support on the inside like you typically would. And so if you want to, you can go ahead and you can double knot or double stitch your very first stitch. I don't always do that, but I like to put it somewhere where I know it's going to be hidden when I can. And since we're going to have to put the D-ring straps in place here using rivets, it's going to cover up where I start my first stitch, so I can double that up if I want to. As you can see, I already did place my rivets on the bodies of my bag, or my grommets, I apologize, on the body of the bag. You too can go ahead and do that and get that over with. Next up, we're going to go ahead and put our handle and our 2 D-ring support straps in place. So go ahead and sink your rivet stems through the inside of the bag, the back side of the body here, and they'll protrude through the outside. The handle will only go on the top upper 2 rivets, and then of course your D-ring strap supports are going to go on both rivets. Go ahead and saddle stitch the upper flap onto the back panel of the body of the bag. When it comes to doing zippers, a lot of people are frustrated with them, and I totally understand. This is the easiest way I found to do zippers without having to use leather glue or leather cement, especially with these punch holes being so close together. This fabric tape is very thin, and it splits in half when you go to peel the non-sticky portions apart. And I just take these, and they're perforated, and I can break them down, and I'll stick them to the zipper chain, and then I'll place my leather over that. And so as you watch this section here, pay attention. It's quite simple, easy to use. You can stitch through the fabric tape itself with your blunt needles. You can also use, of course, the sharper edge needles, but also like that, once I have them in place, once I stitch through the actual fabric tape, I can also rip away between the zipper chain and the leather what remains, what I don't want to be seen. Right here, you want to go ahead, measure out your zipper. That way you can cut away the portions that you don't need. Now, if you're going to use the fabric tape like I am, let's go ahead and put that in place. Like I said, you can go ahead and put it the width of the zipper. And what I do is, since it does peel in half, but it doesn't tear in half, is I place it down as much as I need, and then I cut the other portion off, and then I just take the extra piece, and then I space it out on the zipper and put it in place as well. And I just keep going like that until I'm done. Now with that piece, I did end up messing it up, so I tossed it and I just started over with another one. Next up, we're going to go ahead and attach the zipper to the body of the bag. So make sure that your zippers are at the very top of your zipper chain, unless you want them to come from the bottom. It's up to you. I am going to go ahead and remove some of the excess zipper chain fabric that is here. I'm going to cut that away. And right here, if you want, you can go ahead and peel away your tape as well, but that's not going to be seen once you attach the zipper to the body of the bag. So you don't have to remove that tape if you don't want to. I'm actually going to leave mine in place because it won't be seen. And then the outer pockets later on will be on top of the zipper itself of the leather, whereas this is going to be flushed up against the body of the bag. now that we've completed the left-hand side, go ahead and do the same thing for the right. Now, one thing I didn't pick up on right away is the shackle strap. It should have at least 2 punches in the center on both ends. I did notify the creator, and I believe she is doing an update to that. So by the time someone watches this video and goes to print this out, it will have the punches in there. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and sew the other side here, and then I'm just gonna punch through on the reverse side here, and voila, that'll be done. To save you guys from this mistake I made because I jumped ahead and went too fast, you're going to want to stitch these in at the same time that you're stitching in the bottom portion of the puppy backpack. Alright guys, so I've already ran my thread through the bottom of the body of the bag. Next, I'm going to run it through the corner here of the zipper track. Then I'm going to run it through my side pocket panel, and then I'm going to run it through the bottom of the body of the bag, just like that. Please pay very close attention to this portion. The stitching hole you're going to start with once you get to the buckle straps is third from the bottom. You're also going to be stitching this between the back panel and the outer pocket. So that's where it's going to sit. But you're going to be stitching through the back panel, the buckle strap or buckle support, the panel of the pocket, as well as the inside portion body of the bag. You're going to be stitching through all 4 of those layers, which actually come to 5 because the support folds in half.
Once you reach this point here, stop. Go ahead and tie it off on the bottom side. Just leave this entire row for when you stitch together the back panel to the side piece, to the side pockets. So just go ahead and tie it off right here. And then we'll start with this and the buckle strap, and we'll stitch all that together.
Now that we've completed both of our side pockets, we're going to go ahead and insert our drawstring and measure it out. So just start with the right side like I am here, follow through. Start from the outside, then work your way from the inside to the outside, and so on and so forth. Then when you reach the back side, it's just going to stretch across the back support and then back inside the backpack and flow like that. So a quick funny behind the scenes, I don't know if you noticed, but on the right side of my backpack where the zipper is at, there's a gash on the side of my bag. It's where I picked up my razor and I was going to close it up, and I dropped it onto the bag, and it cut right into the leather portion where the zipper is at on the right hand side. So, lesson learned, be careful with your razors. You can ruin entire projects that way. Once you have ran your drawstring all the way through, you have your preferred length, go ahead and cut the ends.
Cutting straight lines for your straps can sometimes be a pain in the ass, and so this is how I simplify it. I have a yardstick here. I tape it down to the leather, yardstick, as well as my table and mat. I have some type of anchor with this 30-pound weight sitting on the leather. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna apply pressure as I take my blade. So I'm gonna use my left hand to apply pressure on the yardstick and then take my blade. And I'm gonna create one straight edge. Once that is straight, I'll be able to measure out an inch from this cut line into the leather again. And I'll already have a straight edge on the outer section of the strap, and I'll just cut another 1 inch. And then I'll do that again 2 more times for the second strap. On the pattern itself, Karlova does suggest that you make the length anywhere from 32 to 34 inches. Take my yardstick and I take my strap here. I'm just gonna move this.
So really quick, I'm just gonna get a quick measurement of the length of my straps, which I know both of them go at least to 34 or past 34 inches. But go ahead and make sure they're both even. You're still gonna need to punch the holes for the rivets to go through on the end, and then you're also gonna need to curve your strap that's gonna go through the buckle the way you wanna do it. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I am punching the holes for the rivets to go through, and then punching the holes for the buckle to go, for the strap to go through the buckle. This was a very fun build. I had a few mistakes along the way, but I made those mistakes so you don't have to. I used my punch tool there, as you just saw, to curve off the edge of my strap. And then off camera here, I'm gonna set the 2 rivets that I need on my backpack. So I run the straps through the D-rings, lay the backpack flat on the table, and then I set my rivets, and that's it. Enjoy, guys. Thank you so much for being here and watching. Thank you guys for going through this build with me. This is the Puppy by Karlova. The link is in the description, of course. Download the pattern, watch this video, learn how to build it without having to just read the instructions. That's what this is for. Hopefully I can have a few more for you guys in the future here as well. And until next time, all the links for the tools that I use are also in the description below. Thank you for being here. Until next time, deuces.